Long, long ago, in a land far, far away, people would tell each other stories, tales of myths and legends. So pull up by the fire and let me tell you a tale from Somewhen Else. Love and War, an Ojibwe or Chippewa tale. Many a winter has passed away, and many a season's snow mixed with the deep current of the Great Lake Superior, since the fame of Wanowash was sounded along its shores. He was the son of an ancient line who had preserved the chieftainship in their family from the remotest of times. His fathers had all been renowned warriors and hunters, and hence he cherished a lofty pride of ancestry, and the belief that he himself, as well as they, were better than those by whom he was surrounded. To the reputation of his descent from eminent ancestors, he added the advantage of being a tall and commanding person, and the dazzling qualities of great personal strength and activity, qualities ever appreciated most highly by those who are deficient in mental power. His bow was renowned throughout the surrounding tribes for its weight and extraordinary dimensions, and there were few that could raise his ponderous war club or poise his mighty spear. He was often known to have shot one of his flint-headed arrows through the body of a deer, and to have beat in the skull of a male buffalo with a single blow of his club. His counsel was as much sought after as his prowess was feared, so that he came to tune to be equally famed as a hunter, a warrior, and a sage. But he had now passed the meridian of his days, and the term Akawase, one who had long been above the earth, was familiarly applied to him. Such was Wanowash, to whom the united voice of the nation awarded the first place in their esteem, and the highest seat in authority. Even had he wanted the heredity, power, and dignity, the esteem and affection, the veneration of his people would have conferred upon him rule, quite as potential in its nature as that which he enjoyed by his birthright. But pride was the ruling passion of the great chieftain, and to that he sacrificed every other passion. Wanowash had an only daughter, who had now lived to witness the budding of the leaves for the 18th spring. Her father was not more celebrated for his deeds of strength and valor than his gentle daughter for her goodness, her slender and graceful form, her dark and beaming eyes, and her black and flowing hair. There had never been seen among the Indian nations so lovely and perfect a maiden as the daughter of Wanowash. Warriors came from distant tribes to court the fair daughter of the chieftain, but they departed some with bitter reproofs for their presumption, and none with encouragement or permission to hope. Among others, her hand was sought by a youth of humble parentage, one who had no other merits to recommend him, but such as might arise from a graceful person, a manly step, and an eye beaming with the fires of youth and love. These were sufficient to attract the favorable notice of the daughter, but they were by no means satisfactory to the father, who sought an alliance more suitable to his rank and the high pretensions of his family. Little thought he had of happiness for his daughter, so that he secured for his son-in-law a warrior of celebrity. "Listen to me, young man," he replied to the trembling hunter, who had thought the interview, "and be attentive to what you hear. You ask me to bestow upon you my daughter, the chief solace of my age, and my choicest gift from the Master of Life. Others have asked of me this boon, who are as young, as active, and as ardent as you yourself. Some of these persons had better claims to become my son-in-law than you. Some of them had struck the enemies of their country in distant forests. Others had been leaders of successful expeditions. Young man, have you considered well who it is that you would choose for a father-in-law? Have you reflected upon the deeds which have raised me in authority, and made my name known to everyone who has ever heard of the Chippewas, and dreaded as the bolt of death by all the enemies of my nation? Where is a chief who is not proud to be considered the friend of Wanowash? Where is a hunter who can bend the bow of Wanowash? Or a warrior who can wield his club or poise his weighty lance? And who is he whose proudest wish is not that he may someday be equal in bravery to Wanowash. Have you also not heard that my fathers came, ages ago, from the land of the rising sun, decked with plumes and clothed with authority? Have you not heard that my family has been chiefs of the Chippewa ever since the moss-covered oaks on the hills were little sprouts? And what, young man, have you to boast that you should claim an alliance with my warlike line? Have you ever met your enemies on the field of battle? Have you ever brought home a trophy of victory? Where are the prisoners your arm has made? Where have you hung your scalps? Have you ever proved your fortitude by suffering protracted pain, enduring continued hunger, or sustaining great fatigue? Is your name known beyond the humble limits of your native village? Do the warriors of distant tribes relate your splendid deeds? And when they speak of a war with the Chippewa, do they take into account the lance of the son of Kanyawe? Go then, young man, and earn a name for yourself. It is none but the brave that can ever hope to claim an alliance with the house of Wanowash. Think not my ancient and honored blood shall mingle with the humble mark of the Ottawassee. Fit totem for fishermen? The intimidated lover departed, but he resolved to do a deed that should render him worthy of the daughter of Wanowash, or perish in the attempt. He called together several of his young companions and equals in years, imparted to them his design of conducting an expedition against the enemy, and requested their assistance. Several embraced the proposal immediately. Others were soon brought to acquisition, and before 10 suns had set, he saw himself the head of a formidable party of young warriors, all eager, like himself, to distinguish themselves in battle. Each warrior was armed according to the custom of the period, with a bow and a quiver of arrows, tipped with flint or jasper, and each carried a musket more upon his back, provided with a small quantity of parched and pounded corn, mixed with a little pemmican, or pounded meat. Each was furnished with a kind of stone knife, and a war club of hard wood, fastened to a girth of deerskin. In addition to this, some carried the ancient shimogun, or Indian lance, consisting of a smooth pole, above 1 fathom in length, with a spear of flint firmly tied on with splints of hard wood, bound down with deer's sinews. Thus equipped, and each warrior painted in a manner to suit his fancy and ornamented with appropriate feathers, they repaired to the spot appointed for their war dance. A level, grassy plain extended for some distance from the lodge of Wanowash, towards a point of land jutting into the lake. Lodges of green bark were promiscuously interspersed over this spot, with here and there a cluster of trees or a solitary pine, which had escaped the fury of tempests for 1,000 years. A belt of yellow sand skirted the lake shore in front, and a tall forest of oaks, pines, and poplars formed the background. In the center of this green stood a large pine, shattered and branchless from the conflicts of the elements, with a clear space around, famous as the scene of the war dance, time out of mind. Here the youths assembled with their tall and graceful leader, distinguished not only by his bearing, but by the feathers of the white eagle which he wore on his head. A bright fire of pine wood blazed upon the green, throwing its gleams upon the surrounding darkness. The young warrior led his men twice or thrice in a circular manner around this fire, with a measured step and a solemn chant. Then, suddenly halting, the war whoop was raised, and the dance immediately began. An old man, sitting at the head of the ring, beat time upon the drum, while the grim array of warriors made the woods re-echo with their yells. Each warrior chanted alternately the verse of a song, all the rest joining in chorus. The eagles scream on high. They whet their forked beaks. Raise, raise the battle cry. 'Tis fame our leader seeks. Thus they continued the dance for 2 days and nights, with short intermissions, when dropping off one by one from the fire, each sought his several way to the place appointed for the rendezvous, on the confines of the enemy's country. A braver or more determined war party never left the village of the Chippewas. Their leader was not among the last to depart, but he did not quit the village without bidding a tender adieu to the daughter of Wanowash. He imparted to her his firm determination to perform an act that should establish his name as a warrior, or die in the attempt. He told her of the bitter pangs he felt at her father's taunts, that his soul scorned the imputations of efficiency and cowardice implied by his language. He declared that he never could be happy, either with or without her, until he had proved to the whole tribe the strength of his heart, which is the Indian term for courage. He said that his dreams had not been so propitious as he could wish, but he could not cease to invoke the favor of the Great Spirit in his behalf. He repeated his protestations of inviolable attachment, which she returned, and pledging vows of mutual fidelity, they separated. They never met again. The war party, which he led, was conducted by him to victory. After having distinguished himself by the most heroic bravery, he received an arrow to his breast, just as the enemy had fled. With the loss of many of their best warriors, on examining his wound, it was perceived to be beyond the power of cure. He languished a short time and expired in the arms of his friends. From the hour that she received the intelligence of his death, from the moments that the ominous death howl met her ear, no smile was ever seen in the once happy lodge of Wanowash. His daughter pined away by day and by night. Tears and sighs and sorrows and lamentations were heard continually. No efforts to amuse were capable of restoring her lost serenity of mind. Persuasives and reproofs were ardently employed, but employed in vain. It became her favorite custom to fly to a sequestered spot in the woods, and there sit under a shady tree and sing her mournful laments. She would do so for days together. The following fragment of one of those songs is yet repeated. Oh, how can I sing the praise of my love? His spirit still lingers around me. The grass which grows upon his bed of earth is yet too low. Its sighs cannot be heard upon the wind. Oh, he was beautiful, and he was brave. I must not break the silence. The quiet of its still retreat. Not waste the time in song, when his spirit still whispers to mine. I hear his gentle voice, and the sounds of the newly budded leaves. It tells me that he yet lingers near me. It says he loves in death her whom he loved in life, though deeply buried in the cold, cold earth. Whisper, spirit, to me, whisper, and I shall sing my song. When the green grass answers to my plaint, when its sighs respond to my moan, then my voice shall be heard in his praise. Linger, love, linger. Stay, spirit, stay. The spirit of my love will soon leave me. He goes to the land of joyful repose. He goes to prepare my brighter hour. Sorrowing I must wait until he comes to call my soul away. Hasten, lover, hasten. Come, spirit, come. Thus she repeated her plaintive song. It was not long before a small bird of beautiful plumage flew upon the tree, beneath which she usually sat, and with its sweet and artless notes seemed to respond to her voice. It was a bird of strange character, such as she had never seen before. It came every day and sang to her, remaining until it became dark. Her fond imagination soon led her to suppose that it was the spirit of her lover, and her visits to the favored spot were repeated with greater frequency. She now gave herself up to singing and fasting. Thus she pined away, until that death which she had so fervently desired came to her relief. After her decease, the bird was never seen more. It became a popular opinion within her nation that this mysterious bird had flown away with her soul to the land of bliss. But the bitter tears of remorse fell in the tent of Wanowash, and he lived many years to regret his false pride and his harsh treatment. of the unfortunate youth. Hey there! If you made it all the way to the end of this tale, you have many, many thanks from me. Thanks for listening to this story from another time. And if you have a moment, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This helps me to know someone is out there listening. Otherwise, feel free to check out other stories and videos on the channel. And one final thank you for listening to this tale from Somewhen Else. Take care and keep safe.